The typical 4-year cycle is coming to an end, while the CRO token is below 20 cents once more. Is that a bullish or a bearish sign? Well guys, I would say let's strap in and let's find out. This video is sponsored by Obsidian Swap and their token launch with the Obsidian token. The last day is starting soon guys, so check it out. Recently, I watched this video by the Crypto Report. I'm struggling to stay bullish with a CRO coin warning. And this video really had a bearish vibe to it. I will leave a link in the description down below so you can check it out for yourself. But really, it does reflect a broader sentiment that I feel within the CRO fam community and also within the broader crypto community. The bull market might be over and therefore it could be very dangerous. However, this sentiment, guys, mainly comes from this enormous drop, of course, a very significant drop from about 40 cents all the way down to about currently 16 cents for the CRO token. So I do see a lot of what have I sold over there. It's over now. If I learned one thing in my 8 years within crypto, I learned definitely that you have to disable emotions as much as humanly possible. And I am aware that I do have a bullish bias. So therefore, sometimes I might be looking also for a bullish confirmation, even though sometimes we do see some very bad signs, like for example, a drop of more than 70%. Ouch. However, it is also very easy to go with the bearish emotion. So in this video, I want to also give a bit of a counter argument to why you shouldn't be bearish, at least in my take. But please, guys, join the discussion by talking in the comments down below. And of course, don't forget to hit the like button and strap in for some more videos. I want to start by talking about this specific chart that Kip has drawn on the board. And it's talking about the 16-cent line. And we've seen also a big wick to the downside that we might be able to fill in the short term. However, I want to give you guys a different view as well, because I do have a similar line drawn here on the chart. And yes, the 16-cent line is super significant throughout the whole history of the CRO token. In 2020, we topped out there. We had some struggles later in 2021 as well. And same, 2024, we topped again at 16 cents, had some more struggle, and now again, we are right back at 16 cents. But I think also we're talking a bit about momentum. And what we have seen back then is that we topped out here and we topped out here. And the same for 2020 and 2021. So the argument might be that, hey, we're going to tap out here once more. I mean, it looks very similar, isn't it? But I also want to point out that this wick is pointing also towards a bit of strength, because we have bought up basically everything. So instead of showing this line over here, I think you could even make the argument that we see something more like this, that we have a bit of support on the lower trend line. Same thing as what we've seen here. And also you could make the argument here as well back in 2021. And I think truly it is more looking like this here than what we have seen here and also here. But I also want to talk about Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is in the end the thing that truly leads the altcoin bull market, but also, of course, the broader crypto bull market. And what we do see specifically for Bitcoin is that Bitcoin is getting to the end really of a typical 4-year cycle. So I would say, yeah, there's definitely an argument why we should be more bearish than bullish. But have you guys also considered some different Bitcoin charts? I want to talk, for example, here about the weekly, and I think it's this exact chart. This is the weekly chart for Bitcoin. And typically, the 50-week is a true bull market support band. If you break down below the 50-week, it is completely over. But where are we now? We are basically still at around the 21-week simple moving average. So guys, it is definitely not all lost. Even, I would say, it's quite a good argument that we have some more bullish continuation, because we're still holding on to the 21-week. And to show you guys why the 50-week is so important, again, I've talked about this many times in many videos. Here you can see a bounce. Here you can see a bounce. And also, I think here we saw the big breakout that started the bull market back in 2023. But you can also see the moment we dump below the 50-week, it's a complete different story, because here we tried to break it again, but we couldn't. The bear market was already starting. And the same thing also 2018, 2017. Guys, I can talk as much as you want about the 50-week. The 50-week is a true signal that the bull market is over, yeah. And I also want to talk about this here. These are indicators that are predicting the bull peak, specifically for Bitcoin. 30 different indicators that have been somewhat correct throughout the last history of Bitcoin. 0 out of 30 peak indicators have yet flashed any indication of a peak. So personally, if we do believe that the history is going to repeat once more, and typically history is a strong indicator though, but it can of course be different, this has not yet been the peak for Bitcoin. Even though the 4-year cycle might almost be over, it is not yet the peak for Bitcoin. So this also can be very good also for altcoins to come. But let's talk about that after the quick word of today's sponsor. Within 24 hours, we'll see the end of the Obsidian token generation event. For the official Obsidian token, for the platform where you can swap tokens directly easily on the Cronos and Cronos ZK EVM chain. This TG is quite interesting because you can actually put multiple coins forward. The Robin token, Lionel on Cronos, Lionel on Cronos ZK EVM, but also the CRO token. Once you participate, you will get 15% after TG, and then 90 days we'll see linear vesting for the other tokens. Guys, contribute now to the Obsidian TGE and get your participation. Anyways, let's continue with the discussion, bullish versus bearish. And again, guys, Bitcoin is still above $100,000, even above 110. So it's looking still quite strong for Bitcoin. And I also want to talk about some different things here, because we talked about altcoins. And yes, there are some indicators, for example, Bitcoin dominance, that are showing towards potential strength for altcoins like CRO. And I want to make again the comparison to 2021, because what we have seen so far is, I think, very similar. We've seen a drawdown here, and then also a moment really of consolidation. Same thing here, right? Same thing here. We have a moment of drawdown and a bit of consolidation. What did we get after that consolidation in 2021? A big move to the downside regarding Bitcoin dominance. So that doesn't mean, guys, that Bitcoin has to go down. No, altcoins can gain strength. Altcoins can gain strength. And overall, we've tried to really bring up Bitcoin dominance, but also there you can see a big wick. And so far on the weekly, Bitcoin dominance is slowly starting to go down. That's a great sign. And some people might say, but Coin Baron, the 4-year cycle is basically over. But guys, how long did it take to play out this big dump for Bitcoin dominance? We don't need altcoins to be at the top for weeks to make a good amount of money. We need them to be there just for a few days, or maybe even just 1 week. It only took Bitcoin dominance 6 weeks. 6 weeks to go from the highs to the lows. 6 weeks. So where are we in about 6 weeks? They were going near the end of December, and it still fits perfectly within the overall narrative of give or take a 4-year cycle, guys, because the 4-year cycle is not exact science. It's really more of an approximation there. So I do believe it is still possible within that same narrative. Talking about give or take 6 weeks, I also want to show you this chart here for CRO, because we've been talking about this overlay of 2021 versus 2025. And let me bring it up here on the chart. This, guys, is 2025, and the yellow is 2021. And so far, it's been playing out pretty perfectly as well. You can see that after a bit of a move up, we also expected a move to the downside. And so far, it is playing out perfectly. So we dump, we go up again, and we also dump maybe a bit more to set an even lower low, or basically create a double bottom there. And after that, we can potentially go to the upside once more if we complete a similar fractal as in 2021. And that's, of course, very exciting, because this exact fractal, if we follow something like this, then we're talking about, well, a peak, give or take, in December as well. So also about that 6 to 7 week time frame that we've been talking about for altcoins to get to a potential peak. So, of course, guys, this is an overlay, and this is definitely no guarantee of it being a repeat, really, of 2021. But so far, it's looking pretty much the same. So, therefore, I do have some confidence also that we might get a similar outcome as back in 2021. I'm not gonna lie, ladies and gentlemen, the upcoming weekly closes will be crucial for further continuation of the bull market. But all the things we talked about so far are the reason why I haven't sold a single CRO yet. I do have a lot of CRO, guys, and I am aware of my bullish bias towards the CRO token, but I'm also aware of the gigantic opportunity that we do have with the CRO token, because we're still in the lower band zones here for CRO, and I think we can fly a lot higher like we've done earlier in the past. I'm not saying that anyone is right or anyone is wrong here in this discussion. Nobody truly knows, guys, and that's also why we do have this 8-ball here to give us really the prediction for a future outcome. But of course, what I do like is a healthy discussion about this, because what we need is really, guys, to disable emotions and take a look at the facts. Bitcoin is still above $100,000. We just filled the CME gap at 110, and all the leverage, the long leverage, has been cleared out. Therefore, I think it's the perfect recipe for a higher move to the upside in the relative short term. Even big altcoin bears like Benjamin Cowen are now targeting a new all-time high for Ethereum. So in my personal opinion, it's looking quite good. But let me know, guys, in the comments down below what you think about it. And also don't forget to hit that like button and, of course, strap in for more videos. And if you like these kind of videos, check also out this video here about the CRO token.